Repair work doesn't mean that you just spoil the hell out of them with money. That's not repair work.
Yeah.
Your kids don't want that.
You know, as a parent, you will make mistakes. Mm-hmm. You will wound your children, emotionally usually, if nothing else.
But one of my most favorite quotes is by Carl Jung that says, the greatest burden of a child is the unlived life of a parent.
Yeah.
And that means the unlived life of a parent means the unhealed life of a parent.
Yeah.
Free to be me, free to sing sweet feathers envelop me like a hug.
The Safe to Be Seen podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Darcy and Brandon Burke do not claim to be experts. We have no intention to defend our beliefs or impose them onto others. This podcast provides a space to allow for us to share with others what it's like to be us. We desire to share our human journey with others. We advise you to seek professional counsel, therapy, and/or treatment from trained, credentialed, and certified professionals for any emotional, mental, and/or physical conditions you may be experiencing.
Welcome to Safe to Be Seen. We are Brandon and Darcy, partners in life, love, and in rewriting the script. For years, we lived from old stories that kept us in survival. Stories of who we were supposed to be, what success was supposed to look like, and how we were supposed to show up in the world. But then we chose differently. We built safety in our bodies, reclaimed our nervous systems, and wrote a new story. A story rooted in expansion, intimacy, and wholeness. Now, we coach others to do the same, to find safety inside themselves, to break free from survival patterns, and to step fully into their life, their love, and their purpose. This is the space where your story gets to be rewritten too.
Darcy, what are some of your favorite memories involving your parents, or a favorite memory with your parents or about your parents?
Yeah. I have lots. I feel really grateful for the childhood that I had and for the childhood experiences that I had. My parents worked really hard at creating a loving and a fun, safe environment to grow up in. I really feel incredibly fortunate for the home that I grew up in. My mom, some of my fondest memories of my mom are her laughing hysterically over nothing. And you've seen her do that.
Yeah.
We'd just be talking about something and the most random thing would get her in a laughing fit and she will just laugh until she is crying. And then she starts laughing because she's laughing so hard. Yeah. And I have so many memories of her doing that. Memories of my mom. When I think about my mom, I think about always coming home from school and seeing her in the living room, sitting there, usually reading or studying. And then she was just always present. She was always there. And being available to cook dinner for us and give us rides and making sure the house was clean. She's a really good homemaker. She's just a really good cook and a really good homemaker, and just made her family her whole entire priority in her world. And I'm super grateful for that. My dad is very genuine and very authentic. And my dad had polio when he was little. I think he was like 2 or 3 years old. And about like a year later, the vaccine for polio came out after he was diagnosed with that. But because of that, he has a limp. So one leg is shorter than the other. And so he's limped his entire life. And I've never known him any other way. And so it was just, I just grew up thinking like that was normal, you know? And it was so normal to me because he never complained about it. He never talked about really how it was bothering him, or he never complained about not being able to do certain things. He always found ways to enjoy life despite this disability that he has had to live with his entire life, and has maintained such a positive attitude and outlook on life, regardless. he got really into snowmobiling and four-wheeling, and he would take us boating as kids, and he would just drive the boat for hours without being able to do any of the sports really besides go tubing with us.
Would he go tubing with you?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Some
awesome.
of my favorite memories are tubing with my
I
dad.
would love to see Doug on the tube.
It was the best.
That would be so cool.
It was the best. But I loved how my dad always was just friends with people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And wasn't judgmental of people or their lives or their circumstances. He was just friends with everyone. He could have a conversation with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He loves being around people and is just very social that way. And yeah, I think I have memories of my dad coming out front, and I'd be out there playing basketball, and he'd come out there and play with me. And just so many memories of him working so hard and providing for our family. We lived on a farm I lived on a farm for the first 11 years of my life, and that's a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hard work, a lot of really early mornings. Like I remember him going out having to feed the cows before we could go into the living room on Christmas morning and open presents. It's a running joke in our family of no, don't go feed the cows first. We want to open Christmas right now. So just always him being a hard worker, always optimistic, and just never complaining. And now that I'm an adult and I have my aches and pains, and I always think about that. When I think about my dad and his disability and the pain that it's caused him his entire life, and never heard him complain about it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love you, Mom and Dad, if you're listening.
No,
I love you so much.
You have amazing parents. I love you too.
Yeah.
Doug and Sue. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love my parents. How about you?
Yeah, I also feel super fortunate for my parents, for their love, their sacrifices, my parents, so I grew up in a small eastern Utah town close to where you did.
Mm-hmm. No stoplight.
Yeah, not one stoplight in the town. We did have the grub box though. Shout out to the grub box. The grub box was our hamburger joint.
Had Piccadilly's.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember Piccadilly's?
Yes. We call them English chips.
Okay, they do. Do they even have those anymore?
I haven't seen them forever.
We need to bring back the Piccadilly.
Let's do it.
It's probably the most unhealthy thing on the planet, but it was the best. Yes, the grub box.
English chips is what we call them. But yeah, we had the grub box at gas station, and that was about it. But anyway, it was a community of we had a lot of coal mines in the area. And my dad worked at the coal mines, and my mom worked as a receptionist for the energy company. So not at the mine, but kind of at the more of a corporate office type place as a receptionist. So both of my parents, extraordinarily hardworking. Both of them, for my entire life, even, my dad, of course, but my mom included, worked full time at those jobs. And, one thing that's really, my parents, when I think about my parents, I think about just their hard work, but not just at their jobs. Both of my parents loved to work in our yard. We always had a big garden, a vegetable garden. And we had, my mom loves flowers. And so we had a lot of flowers in the yard. We had a decent sized yard, and my dad and my mom, but my dad, I think especially, he pretty much landscaped our entire property. Pretty much himself. He didn't hire out for that kind of stuff, like we tend to do today, like I do. But my dad built this incredible little basketball court for me in our backyard because I loved basketball. And he built our deck coming off the back patio. He built a shed. He was just always like, just very, very industrious, very like, I can do this. He didn't have internet. I always, now I
That's
wonder, how did
true.
he like learn how to do that kind of stuff?
How did they figure that stuff
But
out?
he was incredible at building
No
things.
YouTube?
No YouTube. No.
That's true.
All we had was the Encyclopedia Britannica, like that was it. But I don't think they taught you how to build decks and sheds and basketball courts in those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just have fond memories of working with my parents in the yard, gardening, watering flowers with my mom. And my parents also were really, really big fans of I was really big into sports, and they were my biggest fans. Their support and their love was, it didn't go unnoticed, and I'm very grateful. And, a couple of examples, my dad would always be willing to rebound for me. I'd go out in the backyard and shoot, and he'd come out and rebound for me. And a funny story in that regard was, I don't know how old I was. I was probably about, I would say 11 or 12. And I was realizing, as I was getting more involved in basketball, loving it more, like starting to dream big, regarding like maybe like becoming a good basketball player. I realized that I needed to learn how to use my left hand. And so I was out in the backyard. I still remember this. This is clear as day. I was out in the backyard working on my left-handed layups, and I was struggling mightily, and I was getting really frustrated. And after a while of just feeling like a fish out of water with this left-handed layup thing, I took the basketball and I punted it, kicked it as hard as I could up in the air, and just let it fall where it did, and walked. It was probably like, I don't know, 20 to 30 yards back to the house. And when I walked in the back door, opened up the sliding back door, my dad was right there. He had been watching me through the glass, through the window. And he said, essentially, is that what you're going to do? You're going to quit? Did you think it was going to be easy? And he was so good at like showing me love and support, but also kind of like holding me accountable, and not pushing me like beyond, what I like. He was willing to push me because he saw that I wanted it. It wasn't because, he was forcing me to do something, but I just really appreciated that experience. That was that's a really fond memory that I have, that he in a, fairly firm, but loving, just kind of accountability type of way, taught me, you're not going to quit. Yeah. Yeah. And, they also they never missed any of my games. They went to all my games. My mom too. My mom was a big fan of mine. And, my dad would be in the stands, like keeping a tally of all my stats in a little notebook. And, he would, in high school, he would, back then, of course, we didn't have internet. And so he would, day after any of my games, he would get up first thing in the morning, like early, and go up to our little gas station, like right when the newspapers were being dropped off, so that he could read about what they said about me in the newspaper.
That's so
I'd read
cute.
my stat line and bring it home, and we'd talk about it and just talk about the game. And
That's awesome.
he would always make me my favorite meal, my pregame meal, steak and potatoes. And he also, my dad, we were working in the coal mines. When I got into high school and was playing varsity sports, he changed his work schedule around so that he took the graveyard shift at the coal mines, so that, by working all night, I think his shift was like 10 to 7 or something like that, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. That would allow him, like, he had his whole day free and he would never have to miss any of my games. So
Wow.
I really appreciated that too. Yeah, my parents were just very supportive of what we loved, and very, very loving in that way, and provided a really beautiful example of hard work and dedication and accountability, and we don't quit, we don't give up.
Yeah, they
So,
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joan and Steve are great.
Yeah.
We love them.
Yeah, for sure. I love you, Mom and Dad, if you're listening. Thank you.
I wonder what our kids will say about us.
That's kind of scary to think about sometimes. Yeah.
What do you think they would say about me?
Oh, the list.
The good
is,
and the bad.
the list is endless on the positive things they will say about you.
Oh.
Our kids absolutely adore you. Yeah.
I adore them.
Yeah. You have always shown them unconditional love.
Thank you.
And, you take a lot of the beautiful traits you just mentioned about your parents into your parenting. You've always been really good at having fun, being lighthearted, like nothing's a big deal. Nothing's catastrophic for you,
Yeah.
And, our children are so incredibly blessed to have you as their mother.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah.
I know our kids about you will say how playful you've always been with them, and how much you've always made sure you have set aside time to be with them. And I remember even in dental school, when you were gone from 6 a.m. until 7 o'clock at night, and you still had hours ahead of you of studying and of writing papers and your thesis and all the stuff that you had going on. You made sure to set aside at least an hour and a half every night so you could play games with our kids. And Shaden and Gracie still remember the names of those games. Bull the Human, Banana Flingy. There's more I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
we had a lot
they
of
still
fun.
remember them. You've always been made sure to spend time with our kids, and to like your parents, arrange your life and your schedule around making sure that you could be available to our kids. So those are some good things. I'm sure there'll be some bad things that I'll have to say about us, but
that's part of the deal though, right? There's no perfect parent.
No, there's not.
And it's inevitable that regardless of, I do believe firmly that most parents do their best.
I do too.
There are exceptions, obviously in cases of, significant neurosis, psychological, psychiatric problems, or abuse, things like that exist. And that's so tragic and sad. And abandonment and rejection and all the things. However, most parents do their best.
Yeah, I think so too.
But it's even that said, it's inevitable that, as a parent, you will make mistakes. You will wound your children, emotionally, usually, if nothing else. So,
bringing into your parenting what was never resolved in your own childhood is usually how it works.
Yeah.
And I just want to name we're obviously talking about parenting in this episode. We are definitely no parenting experts.
Oh no, this is not the reason for doing this episode. We are not claiming to have this parenting thing all figured out.
No, it's just a discussion that we want to have and maybe talk about the ways that we have evolved as parents, what we've learned from parenting, what we've learned from our kids.
Yeah.
What we've learned just in general about becoming a parent, and it's hard.
It's incredibly hard. Darce, I was thinking as we were Yeah, sorry, interrupt you there. I was thinking about, in kind of getting ready for this episode, I was just thinking about how, you were 22, just recently turned 22. I was 23 when we had our first child. We had been married 2 years. We were just in the beginning stages of our long academic careers. Like absolutely dirt poor. Didn't know a thing about being parents. Didn't know ourselves, now looking back, we can see, man, we had no clue about ourselves. And consequently really didn't know each other all that well, having been married for 2 short years. Here we are bringing human beings into the world.
I know, it's wild.
It's crazy.
I remember the day we brought Shaden is our first biological. I remember bringing him home, driving home from the hospital, and I was sitting in the back seat with him, and I was looking at this little bundle in this car seat, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with you.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, I want you back in my stomach. Like, you were probably safer in there.
Yeah.
It's a wild experience becoming a parent. There's so many emotions that are involved.
Yeah.
And, when I was thinking about like preparing for this podcast, just had so many big emotions come up for me of this whole parenting journey and how it's taught me more about myself and about life. And I've just felt so much love and adoration for our kids. And that was one of the most profound experiences of my life is when with our first, like, it's like when they're born and you're holding this newborn in your arms, it's like this cavity, this space of your heart that you didn't even know existed just blooms open. And you're all of a sudden filled with this immense love, and this protection mode comes in, and there really are no words to describe it. And then with each child, I remember with each one thinking, how in the world am I going to be able to love this other child as much as I love this one? Because you just think, how much, like, you just love them so much. How can there be so much? And then you have another one, you're like, oh my gosh, my heart just expanded again.
Yeah.
And like and I know this isn't true for everybody. Some people have very traumatic birthing experiences, and I recognize that. And I can't even imagine how difficult that would be. But all of my birthing experiences were profoundly spiritual, probably because I had an epidural. But gosh, when those babies came out, it's like heaven and earth collide. And it's just there's just really no words to describe it. I remember my mom always saying to me, you will never know how much I love you until you have your own. And that is so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So you mentioned just a minute ago, like, about, you made reference to parents, kind of projecting or imposing onto their children, things that maybe live in their unconscious from their childhood. And I think that's something that's really, like, that's been a huge part of my journey, was to realize that, like, because I think when you're a new parent, you're still kind of in that, like, heroic thinking of, like, oh, I'm gonna do this the right way. I'm gonna do this better than my parents did it.
Yeah.
You think, like, even though, like you said, like, you really don't have a clue what you're doing, there's this interesting phenomenon occurring where you, like, think about it. The only reason that a 22 and 23-year-old person would bring life into this world is either they think they know what they're doing. They think they know like that they can do it better than how, maybe it was done for them or whatever. Or they're just completely clueless. And sometimes I wonder which it was for me, but yeah, looking back now, just being really in awe really of like how much as a parent, how important it is. I wish I had known the importance of reparenting myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a knock against my parents. Because like I said a few minutes ago, even under the best of circumstances with the greatest, most loving parents alive,
Mm-hmm.
there's just naturally some, you're not gonna get it all right.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be some scars. There's gonna be some marks left.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be either a feeling of overwhelm,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe a feeling of rejection, abandonment. But the need for a parent to know how to parent themselves, to reparent themselves, to give themselves what perhaps they never got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that, of course, refers to, we've done other episodes on this, but like inner child work,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and just really having an awareness of your own childhood wounding.
Yeah.
Like what is your relationship to your fears? Do you carry with you limiting or false beliefs about yourself? What is your attachment style in relationship?
Mm-hmm.
All these kind of things. The ability for a parent to reparent themselves
Yeah.
is very, very important.
Yeah. And it's true, no matter how good your parents are, you are inevitably going to project your unhealed wounds onto your kids. It's just how it works. And I think something I see happening is like, you always want to give your children what you didn't receive, or like you said, you want to do it better. But sometimes like the pendulum can swing too far to the other side. So let's say like if you grew up in poverty and then you become a parent and you're like, I never want my kids to have that experience. And so then you give everything to them on a silver platter.
Yeah.
You don't make them work. You give them everything they want. That's the pendulum swinging way too far to the other side. And so I think it is the work as a parent to become very familiar with your patterns, your wounds, and how you are projecting them onto your kids. And this is not an attempt to shame any parent or to make any parent feel bad. Like, we all do it. We all unconsciously project our wounds, our unhealed wounds onto our kids, and then we place these expectations on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our intention with this podcast today is to talk about like how to help that, how to recognize maybe the things that you are projecting onto your kids, maybe that you haven't been aware of, and then how to help repair and heal that relationship with your child. And that's something I want to name, is that it's never too late to do repair work.
Right.
No matter how old your kids are, it's never too late to repair. And one of my most, I've said this quote before on the podcast, but one of my most favorite quotes is by Carl Jung that says, the greatest burden of a child is the unlived life of a parent.
Yeah.
And that means the unlived life of a parent means the unhealed life of a parent.
Yeah.
That is the greatest burden of a child, to have to take on the unhealed wounds of their parent.
Yeah. A lot of projection going on.
Yeah, a lot of projection.
One of the areas of life, there are several, but parenting, being parented and parenting is the one of the arenas in which most projection occurs in our lives. And so, yeah, you're right. It's really important as a parent to be able to increase your awareness around your projections onto your children, your expectations, your wanting to give them, like you referenced, what maybe you never had, but way too extreme.
Yeah, the pendulum swings too far on the other side.
But also, like, it's important to understand. I want to go back to something you touched on, Darcy, and that is that one of the most important parts of parenting is the understanding that there are going to be mistakes. There is, like, to not take it personal, to not become a victim, to not say, oh, well, I must be just such a terrible parent then.
Yeah.
But to understand that there are going to be mistakes made. Because one of the most important parts of parenting, in my opinion, is being able to effectively model to your children how to handle loss, disappointment, uncertainty, mistakes, and do so with integrity. It does no good to make a mistake, but then pile on top of that mistake more mistakes by playing the victim, or not taking accountability, or sweeping it under the rug, or like just feeling sorry for yourself, and
or avoiding it.
Yeah,
ignoring it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, one of the most important parts of parenting is to show your children, like, just be real with them.
Yeah.
Be authentic and model to them a really good way with lots of integrity how to handle all the hard stuff.
Yeah, basically how to be a human and to be okay, and how to feel emotion,
Yeah.
Your state creates your story, and nothing will change until you rewrite the script and elevate the somatic script so your body can finally call in what's meant for you. In Holos, we identify your blocks and rewrite the somatic story because patterns live in the body. We install new beliefs so they're anchored, embody new truth, rewrite the subconscious, and shift you from fear and lack into expansion and abundance in service to the divine feminine. Holos is where you rewrite your feminine story. It's where you anchor the freshest upgrade, the state your next chapter requires, and live from it every single day. If you're ready to stop trying to change your life from the surface and instead shift the body that creates it, apply now at www.holoshealing.info and step into the container that changes everything. Sometimes we, as parents, in our attempt to protect our kids from feeling discomfort or from not having to go through hard things because we love them so much, we don't properly model to them proper emotional regulation by displaying or showing I'm feeling anger right now, but I'm going to be okay. And this is how I'm going to manage my anger in an appropriate way. Labeling emotions, naming them for what they are. You are the one that is going to show them how to manage their emotions. And if you are not equipped to be, basically, if you're not regulated, if you are not equipped to be able to, one, manage your own emotions within yourself, how in the world would you expect your children to do the same, who are developing, don't even have a fully developed nervous system? Our children learn how to regulate through us.
Yeah.
We are they don't come into the world knowing how to do that. They fully depend upon their caregivers to be able to co-regulate and to experience safety in this world. And they first do that by touch and by that swaddling and by holding them. And they're learning how to feel safe in the world by how safe you feel in the world. And we come into this world as feeling beings long before we're logical or cognitive beings.
And so you're saying it's much more than like actions and words. It's the tone in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
It's your energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And they can pick up on that. And that all of that goes into the wiring of their nervous systems,
Mm-hmm.
and will therefore incorporate into their being
Mm-hmm.
how they are,
Yep.
how they show up in the world, their provisional personality, we call it, like that you develop in that first half of life.
Mm-hmm.
That provisional personality is built upon the foundation of how you are parented.
Yeah. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But they're basically inheriting your nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
regulated or dysregulated. That's how generational trauma is passed on, is through the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
They're inheriting the state of your nervous system. They're not going to, like, when you look back on your childhood, it's a lot about memory, but it's about what was the felt sense in my home?
Mm-hmm.
What was the feeling in my home?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's carried on. That's what's remembered. And that's what they take with them into their adult years. Every feeling they have about love, the tone and the energy about love in your home, the tone and the energy about money in your home, the tone and the energy about spirituality, about authenticity, that's what they will carry with them into their adult years. And it's what they will have to repair based upon that feeling about it in your home. Now, again, like, this isn't meant to put pressure on, like, to be perfect, because you know what? Kids actually need to experience some difficulty in their lives in order to build up resiliency in their nervous system.
Right.
Like, you cannot be, if you are one of those parents who wants to put bubble wrap around your kids and send them off to school,
Mm-hmm.
that's not healthy. Your kids need to learn how to manage adversity and to feel difficult emotions inside of their bodies. Yeah. Otherwise, you're doing no preparation for them in their adult years.
Well, it's like we just said, you know, it's the understanding that I'm going to make mistakes. Yes, I am your father.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you look at me as Superman, unbreakable, unbeatable, and able to fight off any adversary and like always be on cue and in line. But guess what? I'm also a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And just that understanding of like being able to show them the proper way to handle those missteps.
Yeah.
Those times of uncertainty, or, you know, the things that you yourself are battling. Mm-hmm. Showing them how to handle those in a good way. Yeah. And, you know, I think you spoke to something too, Darcy, that like, it's important to also realize that as a parent, when you make those mistakes, you can't go back and erase that. Mm-hmm. It happened. You can't go back. Wouldn't it be nice if you could go back in time and just take an eraser and just erase it from everybody's memory? Yeah. But you can't. But what you can do is you can, like you said a few minutes ago, it is never too late to repair. Mm-hmm.
It's actually when the deepest connections are formed, is in the repair work.
Yeah, I think that we've seen some really beautiful deepening of connections in our own family, in our repair work, in the repair work that we have done, the work that we have done on ourselves individually and together, jointly in our marriage, I think has bled out into the relationships with our children. Don't you think?
For sure. And I just want to name here, like, let's speak about repair work, because something I see sometimes is that if you you made a lot of mistakes as a parent with your kids growing up, and you recognize that after they leave the house, and you're realizing that you probably weren't fully present. Your connections weren't very deep. Maybe you had a temper, like whatever it may be, you start recognizing as your kids grow older and leave the home, kind of like more of the mistakes that you made. Repair work doesn't mean that you just spoil the hell out of them with money. That's not repair work.
Yeah.
Your kids don't want that. Like, don't make up for mistakes you made as a parent when they were little with buying them everything they want as an adult. That's not the type of repair work we're talking about. Your kids want your presence. They want your realness, and they want to see you heal.
Yeah.
Because when you heal, they say that when you heal, you're healing 7 generations forward and 7 generations back just by you doing your own healing work.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear people often say stuff like, what's the greatest gift I could ever give to my kids? Like, that's a conversation I hear people have a lot. Like, what would you give your kid if you could give them anything in the world? And my answer to that would be my own healed self.
Yes, for sure.
Because what I don't heal, I'm passing on to my kids.
Well, it's like you said, Carl Jung, the greatest burden of a child is the unlived life of its parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, the greatest gift that you can give your child, do the inner work.
Mm-hmm.
Heal your inner child, reparent yourself, heal your attachment style, face your fears, do shadow work, heal your mother wound, heal your father wound.
Yeah,
These are the things you have to do as a parent.
Yeah, that's the greatest act of love, actually, that you could ever give to your child, is to heal yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really all they want. And we've said this before, that like a child only needs to have the presence of a regulated parent 30% of the time in order to develop a secure attachment. So that gives us parents some hope, you know? But yeah, your children are going to inherit, basically they are inheriting your nervous system. That's what they are inheriting. Mm-hmm. And it's through the felt sense experience, that the way that they feel around you.
Which means you can't fake it.
No, you can't.
There's no faking
They know
your energy. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you alluded to maybe making up for past mistakes or lost time or lack of being present or emotional unavailability, whatever it may have been, through like some kind of faux display of affection. Yeah. With either gifting or money or whatever it may be. And it just doesn't work. Yeah. You cannot fake your energy.
I mean, you can't fake connection. Yeah.
You can't fake connection. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, just since we're talking about the nervous system, like from a nervous system lens, there's absolutely things that a child needs in order to develop secure attachments that they will carry on into their own adult lives. And that is safety. It's not just physical safety. Yes, we are absolutely responsible for the physical safety of our children when they are in their home. But even on top of that is emotional safety. Mm-hmm. And so what does emotional safety looks like? It means that they can feel and display emotions around you without you losing yourself, without you abandoning yourself, without you becoming upset, that you can stay present with them in what they are experiencing in their own bodies, and them knowing that I'm okay still. Yeah. And, like, I know that's hard as a parent when you have little kids throwing a tantrum, but that really is just a little child feeling dysregulation in their body and not having the cognitive awareness at that time to be able to know how to come out of that. Yeah. Like, their bodies are shaking and screaming for a reason. Their bodies are trying to find regulation, you know? Yeah. And I know how difficult that is, because being in a store with a little baby throwing a tantrum,
or a church meeting,
or a church, is the worst.
I remember, I'd be like, okay, I'm taking this kid out.
Yeah, we're just leaving.
We're out of here. What are we even doing here? Is this even worth our time? Like, I can't hear the speakers,
I know, it's so
Remember,
hard.
we used to all the time be like, is it really worth it for us to come to church?
Yeah, 3-hour church was the worst with toddlers.
And now we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, we don't have toddlers anymore, but yes.
But, Darcy, that's such a great point that you make. And it seems to me to still fall back to projection. Yeah. Like, you're just projecting onto your child this image, this expectation that you need that child to be in order for you to be okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a fear of judgment. Maybe you need your child to be a certain way, a great student, a great athlete, to look a certain way, to act a certain way, whatever it is, because you're terrified of what other people will think of you.
Yeah.
It's just so much projecting going on. And I think this is a good time to talk about the importance of a parent allowing space for the child
To be a human.
to be them,
Yeah.
to develop their own authenticity, to find out what they like, what they're interested in, how they want to be, how they want to show up in the world. What are their dreams? So often, a parent just force feeds all that stuff to their kid because they believe they know best, or they're just projecting onto them what they wish they had, or all of their wounding is being projected onto them. All of that's going on. But, one of my favorite movies is Dead Poets Society. And do you remember when there's a part in the movie where one of the young men that, they're at this boarding school, and one of the young men, he's doing like his pre-med studies. Why? Because his dad's a doctor, and his dad is forcing him to become a doctor. And this young man, it has to sneakily, is that a word? Sneakily? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But he's in a sneaky way, this young man begins, instead of taking his pre-med classes, he starts taking theater classes. You remember this?
Yeah.
And his dad finds out about it and just comes down on him hard. And because the boy was going to be in a play, and he wanted his parents to support him in that. And they were appalled that he would be in a play. And then they found out that he was taking theater classes instead of pre-med classes, and they dropped the hammer on the kid. And what ended up happening? He committed suicide. Now, of course, this is a movie based on fictional events, but I have to believe that kind of stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important for parents to just give their kids some space, and to have there's this really intricate dance that has to happen between nurturance and, nurturance being like helping the child feel seen, providing safety, like you spoke to, emotional and physical safety, being emotionally available. So that nurturance, but also being able to balance that nurturance with giving the child some space, giving them some autonomy, some responsibility, some freedom to make their own choices, make their own decisions, to actually, believe it or not, make mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, they need to make mistakes.
Some of the most regulated people I know are the ones who feel so safe inside their bodies that they are so expressive authentically. They have no fear of being them. And those same type of parents are not going to fear the authenticity of their own child because they feel so safe in their own bodies that they allow for the full authentic expression of their own child.
They want it.
They want it. They recognize the beauty that is going to be and the gifts that is going to be offering to this world.
Yeah.
And I think as a parent, if you could just be curious with your child, just get curious about them, about what they like, about the people that they're growing into. They are not an extension of you.
Right. That's such a good point.
They are their own human beings.
That's such a good point, Darcy. We often believe that our children are extensions of us, don't we?
Yeah.
And in reality, actually, they're not.
Yeah. And as we have evolved as parents, I feel like during the first part of my parenting. I think we've talked about this, like, especially with religion. Like, I really expected my kids to be a certain way and to dress a certain way and to appear a certain way. And though I may not have like outright said it, I feel like that was kind of maybe like the underlying tone in our home. And now that I've like evolved as a parent and I've freed myself of those expectations, parenting has become so much easier.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. It's night and day.
Like the energy in our home has just like really lightened up a lot when
so
we started like just allowing our kids to explore their own authenticity in a safe way.
Yeah.
Kids need boundaries.
Yeah.
They need rules. They need however you decide to do that as a parent. I don't know the answers for that. But I do know that your kids need that safe space for them to explore their authenticity in.
Yeah.
And to explore their gifts without pressure of having to be a certain way. Because you know what? Then the only thing they're going to feel is performance. And they're going to go into their adult years performing, not knowing themselves.
Well, and they're going to feel unworthy.
Yeah.
They're going to have worthiness issues. They're going to have attachment issues. And they're going to have to, they're going to feel like they're going to have to prove their worth.
Yeah.
You know?
And so if you're signing up your child for like 17 after school activities, you have to ask yourself, who am I doing this for?
Yeah.
Am I doing it for them? Or am I doing this for me, for whatever reason it is? Does my child have to play basketball? Like if he doesn't play basketball, I don't know what's going to happen to him. You know, like what are these expectations that you're placing on your child? Are they coming from your child's desire? Or are they coming from you? And I think to a certain point, like it's good to like encourage your kids to try things. And sometimes you might need to like push them a little bit to like try new things that they might be scared with. But from beyond that, like let them decide. I say, let them choose what they want to do and explore.
Yeah, a good example of that for me, Darcy, was like with our first son. He was interested in sports. I loved sports growing up and as a parent. And so I really pushed him to like work out and to practice and, you know, like we spent a lot and it was a good time spent together, but I realized that it was so much projecting on my part. Me wanting him to be good at sports because like I have to admit, because of course I wanted him to get the fruits of that and to enjoy that success and to, you know, find something that he loved and be good at it. That's wonderful. But I have to readily admit that it was also so that like he would, you know, maybe fulfill things that I didn't, or, there's the desire for your child to look a certain way and to get attention and things like that.
If your son is a good athlete, does it reflect upon you as a dad that mean I must have been a good athlete?
No, not necessarily. It's just, you're really, really proud.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But let me come back to that in just a second. What I was going to say is like, now I look at how I parent our youngest son.
Yeah.
And it's like, I tell him, I say, buddy, I just want you to know if you ever need me to rebound for you want to go get some shots up and need a rebounder, you want me to take you to a gym any hour of the day, 4 a.m, 10 o'clock at night, you want to like, you want to work out with me, anything you want to do, I am here anytime. But I will never force it upon you.
Yeah.
You have to come to me. That's what I tell, so it's like this complete 180 that I did. Our oldest son compared to our youngest son, and because they both love sports, and the oldest, I pushed it. And the youngest, I say, I'm here, but you got to come to me.
Yeah.
And so to get back to your question, I don't think, I don't know. I'm sure maybe some dads definitely feel like they're living vicariously through their their son with sports, that like if their kid is an elite athlete and maybe they weren't, the dad wasn't, I think it definitely validates them in some way, probably. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting thing. It's an interesting thing to walk that fine line of like, but I see talent in you, and I love it, and you say you love it, and you want to like really really push them and kind of force feed it on them, and I don't know. I've just found that it's best to like you can't force kids to love something as much as you do. I always say, like, when I used to coach more, our kids when they would play sports. I don't so much anymore, but I realized into that process of coaching our boys after a few years that it was a really, really unhealthy thing if I cared more than they did.
Yeah.
And so that's where I always just ask myself, do I care more about this than he does?
Yeah.
And if so, I can't force him to care more. You cannot force someone to love or care. I don't believe. Do you?
No.
And so I just think that, speaking to also, Darcy, to what you were talking about with, kind of figuring out whether, what am I doing this for? Am I doing it because I'm afraid of judgment, or perception of others, how I'm perceived by others? I just think, and not to oversimplify, but what I do, and I hope maybe our listeners will find this helpful, but it really helps me, is I simply ask why. Why? Why am I, whatever it is, my kid dresses a certain way and I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable. Why? And if you dig deep enough, you will find the answer. And you will find whether it's truly because you're concerned about your child's safety, which you are responsible for, or is it you're concerned about your image?
Yeah.
How you are perceived, how you are judged. And I think we both went through this evolutionary process of being very much that way in the beginning years of our parenting. Like,
worrying so much about what people thought of us and
we kind
how
of
we're being perceived.
Yeah, we kind of referenced a few examples, but like, I remember when our oldest would be losing his mind in public settings, I'd get so frustrated and upset because I was like, oh my gosh, these people think I'm a bad dad. Like,
because my kid is
I was totally just worried about like what I was being perceived as.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was going into parenting with that heroic thinking of like, oh, my kid will never act like that. You see a kid acting up in before you're a parent, and you're like, oh, my kid will never act like that. And then you have it. You have your own kid.
You have the screaming kid on the airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think something else as important as a parent is attunement.
Yeah.
And attunement is not what you say, it's what you feel. And because our kids their nervous systems in their bodies are developing based upon the felt sense experience with you and in the home. And so what this might look like is like, let's say your child comes home and they're in elementary school and they're crying because they found out that they didn't get invited to go to a birthday party. To us as adult, now in our adult years, that maybe is not like such a big deal. And maybe we're busy, maybe we're running kids around, we're trying to make dinner, we're trying to get kids to activities, But in that moment, what that kid really needs is your felt experience. That means you're staying anchored in your adult self, but you're also meeting your child where they're at. So let's say they come home and they're crying and they're sad and upset because they didn't get invited to this birthday party. Well, attunement looks like, you must be hurting so bad. I understand how frustrating and how sad that must make you feel. that hurts when you don't get invited to a birthday party, huh? Instead of misattunement would be like, yeah, I'm really sorry you didn't get invited to that birthday party. What do you want for dinner? You know, there's such a big difference between like the feeling behind what you're saying, where your kids need to know that you are anchored in yourself while they are experiencing difficult things. And you always try to stay anchored in your adult self while also meeting them where they're at. You're attuning to them. You're feeling into them so they feel seen and they feel validated and they feel understood.
How often do we just, I know I'm guilty of this. Not anymore, but definitely have been. Oh, stop crying. You're fine.
Yeah.
Or, you know, heaven forbid we say something like, boys don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine like what that does to their psyche?
Well, I know what it does.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I know you do. But, you know, to the development of their beliefs around, oh, boys don't cry. Boys don't show emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when he's older and he's a man? He's numb to emotion.
Mm-hmm.
He's dissociated from his emotions.
Yeah.
Or he numbs his emotions because they're too big. He's not allowed to show them.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. It's incredible and really quite overwhelming when you think about it.
Yeah.
The responsibilities of a parent.
Yeah.
And how their children shape their provisional personalities and wire their nervous systems.
And I just want to name here that honestly, the more regulated you feel inside your body, the safer and more enjoyable your experience will be as a parent.
Yes.
Because you'll be able to hold space for your kids when they're going through difficulties. You won't embody that yourself. Your kids don't need and they don't want you to embody their feelings. That means that you're not anchored in yourself. They need you to stay anchored in yourself while also being able to attune to them and hold space to them.
Yeah.
And I try to measure myself as a parent by how safe my kids feel around me. How safe do they feel coming to me and telling me when they've made a mistake? How safe do they feel coming to me and telling me about difficulties going on in their friendships or anything hard?
Yeah.
You know? And I think we both have had experiences where, depending on the experience or the child, some have told you things. Some have told me some things.
Yeah.
But that's my work as a parent. That's my goal. That's what I try to do with our kids, is to be so completely safe within myself that my kids feel that and that they know that they can tell me anything and they'll still be loved and they'll be attuned to and they'll feel safe doing that. And I think that's ultimately the desire of every single parent. We want our kids to be able to come talk to us and tell us anything.
Yeah.
But your kids aren't going to do that out of force. They are not going to do it out of fear. They're going to lie to you.
Yeah.
They're only going to do that out of the felt sense experience of connection and safety. And that is started for the minute they are born. And the minute they start displaying difficult emotions around you, they're feeling into how you are reacting to that. And they're going to base their way of being with you on that, by how they feel around you.
So true. And what's really wild is sometimes your children will perhaps even like subconsciously test you.
Yeah.
So that they can see how safe is dad right now.
Yes.
And, you know, they might plant a little seed subconsciously and like, I see that happen all the time, actually. I see you kids when you're doing that. I know. But yeah, it's really wild because their need for that safety is so strong that their subconscious is like testing the grounds.
Yeah, they're smart.
Yeah.
We're created to do that.
Yeah.
That's how they're growing and developing, and to know how safe they are around certain people. And yeah, I think that's one of the greatest things that you can measure yourself by as a parent, is how safe your kids feel around you, and they will carry that into their adult years. And I want nothing more than that, for my kids to feel so safe around me that they know that they can tell me anything and come to me with anything that they need help with. Or I mean, I can think of no better thing to offer your child than that.
Yeah.
Is safety and connection and that love. Yeah.
Very well said. I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you are the most incredible mother ever created.
Thanks,
And I
honey.
am so, so grateful that my children have you as their mother.
Oh, thank you. I feel the
Thank you.
same about you. Our
Thank
kids
you.
are really lucky to have you. And I think it's been a really profound experience for our kids to see us evolve and change and grow. And there's been some rocky spots throughout that.
Yeah.
But through our efforts in repairing with them, I do feel a deeper connection within our family than I've ever felt before. And yeah, if our kids are listening, I hope they know how much we adore them and how much we love them, and that everything we do and every effort we make and every
Decision we make
is with the best of intentions for them.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful to be their mom.
We have incredible children.
We really do.
And
They're amazing.
And I just want them to know, if they listen to this, you mentioned safety, and I don't disagree with you. I think that that's paramount and of utmost importance. And maybe this is just another way of saying that. But I want my kids to know that I see them. That is, I hope my kids can always say, yeah, my dad did some crazy stuff, made some mistakes, but I know he saw me. That's what I hope. That's my hope. That's my dream. That's my prayer.
They do feel that. Yeah. Fun convo.
Yep. Thanks, babe.
We love you, kids.
We love you so much.
Free to be me, free to sing sweet feathers and envelop me like a hug, whispering melodies.
You've played the part, fulfilled your role, built the business, carried the weight. But lately, something's off. The success you've created on the outside doesn't match how you feel on the inside. You're burnt out, disconnected, numb. This isn't weakness, it's a signal. It's not a crisis, it's a sacred opportunity. Getting Lost is Being Found is a coaching program where high-performing men rebuild from the inside out. Strength in your body, clarity in your mind, fire in your soul. Go to my Instagram at Getting Lost is Being Found and shoot me a DM, or click the link in the show notes if you're ready to transform yourself into the man you were meant to be. You're not broken. You're being called back to who you really are. The Safe to Be Seen podcast is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Darcy and Brandon Burke do not claim to be experts. We have no intention to defend our beliefs or impose them onto others. This podcast provides a space to allow for us to share with others what it's like to be us. We desire to share our human journey with others. We advise you to seek professional counsel, therapy, and or treatment from trained, credentialed, and certified professionals for any emotional, mental, and or physical conditions you may be experiencing.